Hello and welcome once again to the Vilnius Academy. Today we're going to talk about body language and microexpressions, and I wanted to start this talk with a little introduction to microexpressions. Microexpressions are basically 1/15th or 1/25th of a second when people experience emotions that they do some kind of facial expression. They are as old as can be, and they are universal. So in the US or in the depths of Africa, the 7 basic microexpressions are the same. And even blind people that have never seen any microexpressions, they have the same. So the same microexpressions. So they're universal, and everyone makes them, and you can't really fake them, or it's very hard to fake. But you really need to pay attention because, as I said, it's 1/15th of a second or 1/25th of a second, so it's really a short time to notice this. And to start, I wanted to talk to you about all these 7 microexpressions and how you can recognize them, so you can start to try and recognize them in the faces of your delegates, your acquaintances, try them out in the mirror to get to know them, because it's really interesting that not only the feelings make microexpressions, but if you try the microexpressions, you start feeling the emotions as well. So let's start with the first one. That's going to be surprise. So this is the surprise microexpression. You can see that the brows are raised and curved, the skin below the brow is stretched, and you have horizontal wrinkles across the forehead. Also, the eyelids are open and the jaw drops and the teeth are parted. So this is the surprise microexpression, and now we'll move on to the fear microexpression. This is the second one. And in the fear microexpression, you can see the brows are raised and drawn together. Notice the wrinkles between the brows and the upper eyelid that's raised, but the lower one is tense. And this helps to differentiate from the surprise microexpression. Now we have the disgust microexpression with the upper lid and lip raised, the nose wrinkles, and the cheeks raised. And now we'll move on to the anger microexpression. So you can see the brows are lowered and drawn together. You can see vertical lines between the brows. You can notice that the eyes are bulging, and the lips are pressed firmly together, and even the nostrils may be or may not be dilated. And now we have the happiness microexpression. The corners of the lip are drawn back and up. Check the wrinkles that run from the outer nose to the outer lip, like in the image from your right. You can see the real happiness microexpression, and it can help distinguish from the images on the left that are fake happiness. So you can see that these wrinkles only show up in the real happiness microexpression. Also notice that the cheeks are raised in the real one, and you can see the wrinkles near the outside of the eyes. And okay, we'll move on to the sadness microexpression. This one is the hardest one to fake of all the microexpressions. You can check that the corner of the lips are drawn down, the jaw comes up, and the lower lip pouts out. And finally, we can see the contempt, which the only characteristic of the contempt microexpression is that one side of the mouth is raised in comparison to the other one. So these are the 7 microexpressions, and hopefully they'll be useful for you to distinguish and get to know people a little better, people's feelings and emotions. It can help you with social interactions, and also get to know how your delegates are really feeling. We'll now move on to the body language. So for the body language parts, we'll separate this module into team building and committee work. So as for team building, I'm going to try and help you realize how your delegates are feeling, how their body language is expected, and how you can use your own body language to integrate them more and to make them feel comfortable. So when delegates arrive on the first day, they're very nervous, they don't know anyone, they don't know the chairperson, and they're very much in the I phase of the fire cycle. So their body language will be very closed down. So shoulders to the front, they'll be crossing their arms a lot, they'll be keeping their distance, head down, and not interacting so much with anyone. And you, as the chairperson, can have an influence on that, but with your own body language. So if you're open, eyes open, legs open, you are smiling, head up, posture straight, they'll see that you're comfortable and that you're comfortable approaching them, and it shows openness. So it really helps them to trust you and feel also comfortable within the group. And then as the day progresses, they'll be getting more comfortable, and you can also monitor these little things to see if they are indeed going as you want them to go, progressing as you want them to progress. So if they're starting to get closer to each other, so not keeping 1 meter distance, but maybe, I don't know, they're getting closer as the day goes by, that their posture is changing, that their arms are open, more relaxed, you don't see so much tension, then you can see that your work is progressing as you want it to go. If you notice that, I don't know, by the end of the day or after lunch, 1 or 2 of the delegates are not their body language is not in accordance to what you would expect it to be, so they're still kind of close, they're keeping their distance. You can also use the microexpressions, they don't feel so comfortable, they don't see happiness, then this can be a sign that you need to go back to more get to know games or name games, because those delegates are not so comfortable. So you can use this your own body language and knowing the delegates' body language to know where your committee stands and what you need to do for team building. When it comes to committee work now it's different because it's more of a work environment. So what you want to see is if they're focused, if they're paying attention. Besides the basic things as being on their phone, the way they're sitting can tell a lot. So if they're sitting leaning back with a concentrated face, leaning forwards with a concentrated face, you can see the tension on their shoulders, you can see that their body is pointing to the person who is talking. These are indicators that they're really paying attention, even if they're not participating as much, for example. On the other hand, if they're like lying back on their chair, relaxed, then this means that they're probably not paying as much attention as they should be paying. You as the chairperson can use a lot of tricks as well to get them more focused, so the way that you're sitting will always reflect on the way that they are sitting. So if you're sitting straight, if you're in a higher position than they are, so for example sitting on the table instead of sitting on the floor, then they can see that you are paying attention to them. If you are turning towards them, showing your fronts and being open, they see that even though you're not participating in the debate, you are paying attention, you are looking at them, and you are seeing what's happening, and this makes them be more focused as well. If on the other hand you are sitting down on your phone, on the floor, on a chair far away, they can see that you're not really paying attention, and this can have a negative impact on the committee. So another technique that you can use is moving around. So if you move around and you stand behind a delegate that's talking a lot, your presence behind them, you can even put a hand on their shoulder, but this presence is a sign, will make them feel that, will make them shut up basically. So your presence behind them is very strong, and the very active delegates will calm down a bit. And this can also be used with the silent ones. Your presence behind them will be as a strength and support. If you put your hand on their shoulder, or even if you're walking around and you smile at them, they'll feel supported, and they'll feel that you want to hear their opinion, and this can really help giving them the push to speak. Another thing that can be important to know is that the delegates will always mimic your body expressions as well. So for example, in GA, if you're focused, if you're paying attention, the delegates will be much more motivated. They will reflect your energy, your posture, and your posture speaks for itself. So if during the whole time you have a chill posture but professional, you're paying attention, the delegates will reflect that in their work, in their participation in the GA, in the respect that they pay for others. So it's really important that you are always aware, how am I sitting? Are my arms open? Am I closed down? Am I lying back? Am I too relaxed? If you're always aware of what you're doing, that will absolutely reflect upon the delegates. So this is it for the Microexpressions and Body Language module of the Vilnius Academy. I hope it was useful. If some tips that you can use is if you write down, for example, things about the body language or the microexpressions that the delegates are showing and are making. If you write it down on the course of the day of team building or committee work, you can compare it with what you've written down before, and you can see the evolution. Is the delegate more interested? Is he or she paying attention always? What are the topics that they're paying that they are more focused, and the topics that they're not? How is it during team building? Are they integrating the group as you want them to? How are they speaking in coffee break? Their posture, everything is an indicator of how they're really feeling. The body and the mind and the face can show a lot of how they're feeling, and they can be an excellent tracker of your work. So I really hope this was useful. And any questions you have or anything else you want to discuss, I'm always open for that, so just drop me a line.